Hello, and welcome to the Ocean News Podcast, an audio series taking you through the breaking news and the biggest stories from the Oceanographic newsroom. I'm Rob Hutchins, news editor here at Oceanographic magazine, and in this episode, I'll be leading us on a deeper dive into the one story that really has piqued our interest today, as we take a closer look at the vital role that sharks play in maintaining the health and biodiversity abundance of the coral reef ecosystem. Our story today has us straddling the hemispheres as researchers from the University of Glasgow in Scotland, here in the UK, and scientists from the University of Western Australia combine their intellectual prowess to confirm long-held suspicions about the coral reef. And that is to maintain a healthy coral reef ecosystem, you're going to need sharks. Yes, recently published in the scientific journal Animal Ecology, evidence is now mounting that the return of apex predators like sharks can restore the critical ecological balance to coral reef ecosystems, creating healthier and more abundant environments. And it's not just in the way that sharks eat. It's simply their mere presence and the fear among prey of being eaten that has been shown to have positive impacts on the ecosystem. This study takes us to Ashmore Reef off the northwest coast of Western Australia, a region that for the last 20 years has been under legislated protection to help revive its shark population. And who better to transport us there than the lead author behind the study itself, Zoe Storm, now a PhD student at James Cook University in Australia. It's her findings that add to the growing evidence in support of the need to protect shark populations for the crucial role that they play in the marine ecosystem. So let us dive in. So, Zoe, thank you so much for joining us on the Ocean News podcast to talk about this fascinating study. Shall we jump straight in with the obvious question then as to what is this study showing us that we don't already know about the role that sharks play in the reef environment?
So, when species like reef sharks recover after years of decline thanks to protections like marine reserves, they don't just return as individuals. They have the power to reshape entire ecosystems, not only by eating prey, which is perhaps the most obvious mechanism, but actually also by simply being present. And that presence alone can cause other animals to change their behavior in dramatic ways, just out of fear of being eaten. And so we were really interested in this fear factor. So the idea that predators such as sharks influence prey not just through consumption, but by changing how prey behave.
Which is really interesting. So, this is a study that you carried out in a region known as Ashmore Reef, right? And which itself has a bit of an interesting history, doesn't it? Can you tell us a bit about that?
So sharks were heavily overfished and shark populations were declining at Ashmore Reef. But then they began to recover after a no-take marine protected area was enforced in 2008, which gave us the opportunity to compare what was happening at Ashmore Reef prior to and after shark recovery. And so our co-authors, Dr. Mark Meakin and Dr. Conrad Speed, in another study of theirs, actually found that along with shark numbers bouncing back, the fish community also started to shift, and they found that medium and large mesopredatory fish increased in numbers, while smaller ones declined. And while this could, of course, just be because there were more sharks around to eat these fish, we were interested in seeing whether sharks also influenced prey by changing their behavior, so by changing the prey's behavior, and if this could have contributed to the abundance changes that we were seeing at Ashmore as well. So this time we weren't just interested in how many fish there were and in how sharks may affect the rest of the reef community in terms of who gets eaten, but instead we wanted to understand how fish may behave differently when sharks are around.
Amazing, yeah. And you did this by, as the paper tells us, comparing underwater video footage captured from 2004, from before the protections were put in place and the shark populations were low, with footage from 2016, once those numbers had bounced back. So, can you tell us then, what was it that you actually saw? What was the behavior being displayed by these fish species?
What we found was actually pretty striking. So both small and medium-sized predatory fish showed clear signs of being more cautious when sharks were around. So yeah, they spent more time on alert, watching for danger. And small-sized fish even reduce the time they spend feeding. And what's really interesting is that this change in behavior only showed up in 2016, so after shark populations had recovered. Back in 2004, when sharks were still scarce due to overfishing, we didn't see this response. So it looks like the fish were reacting not just to a shark being present in the moment, which is what we call acute risk, but also to the longer term experience of living in a place where sharks were more common again, or what we call chronic risk. And so it's the combination of those two that seems to drive these anti-predator behaviors.
Really? Wow. I mean, it's such a fascinating finding, and actually, it must speak a lot for the cognitive ability of these fish species as well. Like to not just react to the threat when it's staring them in the face, at the real risk of being eaten, but perhaps it talks about their cognitive ability to hold the mere thought or fear of being at risk from predation, or I think it opens up some sort of conversations into the cognitive ability of fish species as well, maybe. Um, Okay, so perhaps a bit of an obvious question to leap to, or at least an obvious answer. But why is a study like this so important, and why are these important findings to take from it?
It matters because it shows that predators, especially sharks, don't just influence ecosystems by eating prey. They also seem to have the potential to act upon their prey through fear. And that means that when we remove predators like sharks through overfishing, um, we're not just changing who eats whom, we're potentially changing the behavior of many other species in ways that have the potential to actually cascade through the whole system. And yeah, this kind of research makes a really strong case for marine protected areas and for shark conservation. Because yeah, if we want healthy, resilient reef ecosystems, we need to consider both the visible and invisible roles that predators like sharks play, because sometimes it seems that fear alone may contribute to keeping the ecosystem in balance.
Okay, so one last question from me then, and it's about what you hope the impact of this research and the growing body of evidence supporting the role that sharks play on the reef system, what this will all have moving forward. So, what does this research highlight for us all to take forwards as a lesson for conservation?
This research highlights that protecting sharks isn't just about conserving a single species, it's about safeguarding the structure and function of entire reef ecosystems. And so, by showing that the presence of sharks can alter prey behavior through these fear driven effects, our research strengthens the case for establishing and enforcing marine protected areas that allow predator populations to recover. And it also shows that effective conservation isn't just about numbers, it's about restoring ecological relationships and about considering this more holistic picture, I guess. And so, yeah, as global shark populations continue to decline, this study underscores the urgency of establishing successful marine management strategies that protect sharks and that recognize sharks as critical ecological drivers, not just as top level predators.
Zoe, thank you so much for sharing your insight and congratulations on a fascinating study that will surely make some important contributions to shark and environmental protections moving forward. So, thank you. To learn more about this story and other stories on the vital role that sharks play within our marine ecosystems, head to the Oceanographic Newsroom. This has been the Ocean News Podcast. I've been Rob Hutchins. Thank you for listening.